posted by u/Dom-Medbury11. Most nursery rhymes have a dark meaning behind them. Which one blows your mind the most? 3 blind mice, 3 blind mice. See how they run, see how they run. They all ran after the farmer's wife, who cut off their tails with a carving knife. Did you ever see such a thing in your life as 3 blind mice? This is a rhyme dedicated to Mary I's reign, also known as Bloody Mary. The 3 mice are believed to be a trio of Protestant bishops, Hugh Latimer, Nicholas Radley, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Cranmer, who conspired to overthrow Mary. They were obviously unsuccessful and were found out, and then burned at the stake for treason and heresy. It was mistakenly believed that she also blinded and dismembered them, as the rhyme goes, as if being burnt alive wasn't enough. Remember learning this one in history. The "How Does Your Garden Grow" part was about her ineffective womb giving birth to dead children, which is the "Pretty Maids All in a Row" part, which is her dead children laid out in graves. Now I did learn this over 10 years ago and my memory ain't so amazing, so maybe take it with a pinch of salt. But I'm almost sure that's how my history teacher explained it. Growing up, early 80s, we'd all put our dukes, fists, in and sing little rhymes to determine who would be it for our form of tag. Bloody murder. I swear on my life, we sang. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe. If he hollers, let him go. Out goes you. I remember my mom yelling at us saying we were not allowed to sing it because it was racist. I've never seen her so angry. We never sang it again. Flash forward to my 20s when I learned that tiger used to be the N-word, and then my mom's banning of the song made so much sense. I don't know the history of the rhyme, but I am sure it does not have the most pleasant history. One from my childhood that not many people seem to remember, maybe I just grew up in a cult without realizing, was this. Oranges and lemons, say the bells of St. Clement. I owe you 5 farthings, say the bells of St. Martin's. When will you pay me? Say the bells of Old Bailey. When I grow rich, say the bells of Shoreditch. When will that be? Say the bells of Stepney. How should I know? Says the great bell of Bow. Here comes the candle to light you to bed. And here comes the axe man to cut off your head. Chip, chop, chip, chop. The last man's dead. We would sing this in a large group. 2 people would form an archway with their hands and everyone else would process through it. As the words chip, chop, the people in the arch would start moving their arms up and down as people passed through. Whoever was caught between their arms on the word dead was out and would become part of another archway. I remember one from my childhood. It goes, Guten Abend, gut Nacht, mit Rosen bedeckt, mit Naglein besteckt, schlupf unter die Deck. Morgen früh, wenn Gott will, wirst du wieder geweckt, morgen früh, wenn Gott will, wirst du wieder geweckt. Which translates to, good evening, and good night, with roses adorned, with carnations covered, slip under the covers. Early tomorrow, so God willing, you will wake once again. The part with the roses and carnations always reminded me of throwing flowers into the grave during funerals. And the last part implies that you might as well not wake up the next morning. You are my sunshine. Full original lyrics. A man whose love left him and the despair he was going through. The end implies he might have offed himself. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping I dreamed I held you in my arms, but when I awoke, dear, I was mistaken, so I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. I'll always love you and make you happy if you will only say the same, but if you leave me and love another you'll regret it all someday. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. You told me once, dear, you really loved me and no one else could come between, but now you've left me and love another. You have shattered all of my dreams. You are my sunshine, my Jack and Jill. One of the most shocking theories behind the nursery rhyme comes from a village north of Somerset, known as Kilmersdon. In 1697, Rumor has it that two randy local residents hid their affair from their partners by romping up on the hill. The two love rats didn't get their fairy tale ending though, as the legend claims that Jack died from falling on a rock and Jill passed away during childbirth. Goosey goosey gander. Goosey goosey gander. Whither shall I wander? Upstairs and downstairs. And in my lady's chamber. There I met an old man. Who wouldn't say his prayers. So I took him by his left leg. And threw him down the stairs. There's no basis for this, but I've always thought Pop Goes the Weasel to be about a paid assassination. All around the mulberry bush the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey is hired to kill the weasel, chases him for some time. The monkey thought it was all in good fun. Pop goes the weasel. The monkey quite enjoyed his job, akin to Rick and Morty. Oh boy, here I go killing again. Finally had enough fun and kills the weasel. A penny for a spool of thread, a penny for a needle. That's the way the money goes. Pop goes the weasel. Obviously hired to make the kill. Buys the tools necessary for the job, spool and thread, and offs the weasel. There was an old woman and she lived in the woods. Wheela wheela walla. There was an old woman and she lived in the woods down by the river Sala. She had a baby 3 months old. Wheela wheela walla. She had a baby 3 months old down by the river Sala. She had a penknife long and sharp. Wheela wheela walla. She had a penknife long and sharp down by the river Sala. She stuck the penknife in the baby's heart. Wheela wheela walla. She stuck the penknife in the baby's heart down by the river Sala. 3 loud knocks came knocking on the door. Wheela wheela walla. 3 loud knocks came knocking on the door down by the river Sala. 2 policemen and a man. Wheela wheela walla. 2 policemen and a man down by the river Sala. Are you the woman that killed the child? Wheela wheela walla. Are you the woman that killed the child? Down by the river Sala. I am the woman that killed the child. Wheela wheela walla. I am the woman that killed the child down by the river Sala. They took her away and they put her in jail. Wheela wheela walla. They took her away and they put her in jail down by the river Sala. My mother, she butchered me. My father, he ate me. My sister, little Anne Marie. She gathered up the bones of me. Tied them in a silken cloth. And placed them 'neath the juniper tree. Tweet, tweet. What a beautiful bird am I. I'm very unsure of the origin of this one, but it makes me think of all those German fairy tales about famine, such as Hansel and Gretel. I had a Grimm's fairy tales book. I forget the name of the story, but I remembered how it went. A boy's father married a woman with a daughter. The stepmom hated him and of course favored her daughter. One day when the boy asks for an apple, she tells him to get one from a chest. He looks in and she slams it closed, cutting off his head. She sets him up in a chair with his head on and wraps the neck with a kerchief. Then she puts an apple in his hand. Marjorie, the girl's name in the book, sees him sitting with an apple in his hand and asks for it several times, obviously not getting an answer. She gets upset and runs to her mother, who tells her that if he keeps being rude to box his ears. Marjorie does so and of course knocks his head off. She breaks down and cries and her mother blames her for killing him and takes the boy's body, cuts him up and makes a stew out of him and feeds his father the stew. The father absolutely loves it and keeps asking for more, chewing on the bones and tossing them under the table. Marjorie is in the corner crying, and when the father has finished eating she carefully gathers up the bones in her best kerchief and buries it under a juniper tree. A beautiful bird comes out of the dirt, or tree I am not sure, and starts singing. From what I remember the song went like this. It was my mother who murdered me, it was my father who ate of me, it was my sister Marjorie who my bones and pieces found, and in the handkerchief she bound and buried them under the juniper tree. Kiwit I cry, what a beautiful bird am I. Marjorie is comforted by this and she happily goes home. The bird flies to various places, singing his song and asking for something in return for singing it again, because everyone is in awe of how beautiful it is. He gets a pair of silk shoes from a shoemaker, a gold chain from a goldsmith, and a heavy millstone from a miller. He then flies away home and tosses his sister the shoes. She's overjoyed and tells her father. The father comes out of curiosity, and gets the gold chain. The stepmother, believing she'll receive a gift, pokes her head out. The bird drops the millstone on her head and kills her. Then, from my memory, the bird goes to the juniper tree and I think it sets on fire, and from the flames emerge the boy. And they lived happily ever after.